Hey guys, before I get into this video, I want you to like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, because I think you'll be very perplexed about what I'm about to say, because I know I've always been perplexed. I'm going to ask you guys a question, and I legitimately want you guys to either comment or answer my question that I'm asking all of you guys, no matter where you're from. I want you to answer. Let's all put on our adult thinking caps as functioning adult human beings and ask yourself the question, why do we as a society in the United States, and for that matter, abroad on a global scale, why do we as a society believe that people out here are actually doing the research to eliminate such a money-making disease such as cancer? I mean, do you guys ever really think to yourselves why you believe that? I'm talking about for the ones who believe that. I mean, do you understand that that's a multi-billion dollar industry, one in which cancer enjoys huge profits from? If we were to ever eliminate cancer, it would bring the medical industry as we know it to its knees. It would completely crumble. I mean, look at how we do with other things. Weapons, people who are making weapons or have weapons programs. Look at how we put a stop to Iran and their nuclear arms program in 2003, 2015, and 2025. All three of those years when we were made aware of their nuclear arms program, we nipped it in the bud. I think in 2025, we even waged war on them and dropped bombs on that entire country to stop them from making nuclear arms. I mean, we would do whatever it takes to nip something in the bud, any type of program, whether it's weapons, medicine, if we think it's going to be a detriment to something. If anything, they're giving people cancer. Look at Nexium. Nexium had a class action lawsuit. This is for heartburn, causing people, millions of people, cancer all over the world. Look at Roundup, the weed killer Roundup. Another class action lawsuit. What was that, back in the 2020s, the 2010s, whatever like that? Weed killer, giving people cancer. Look at Johnson & Johnson, the baby powder company it was giving millions of people cancer, babies, women. I mean, if anything, they're giving us this disease so it'll propagate and we can multiply the cases that we have cancer. We have to think about this from a common sense standpoint. Even me, I had a medical mishap, a medical malpractice incident, and somebody tried to give me an antibiotic, so-called antibiotic, because I had a stomach ache. Ended up being chemotherapy. There's no way, as a chief kidney surgeon and chief urologist, you don't know that what you're giving me is a chemotherapy pill and you're saying that it's an antibiotic. This happens every day of every year, and it's been happening for decades. Doctors doing things like that, experimenting with kickbacks from the pharmaceutical company to experiment and offer these new drugs to patients, willingly and deliberately knowing that this could cause harm or even a fatality to the patients that they're experimenting on. Okay, I just want to break something down for you really quick, okay? Because I don't want this to be just about my opinion. I want to let you know about some facts right now, okay? Now, the global healthcare industry generates trillions, not millions, folks, not billions. They generate trillions of annual revenue, okay? In the US alone, we generate 54 billion in annual profits, okay? Now, there's three different categories I want to get you guys hip to. Three different categories in the medical industry. And these big three are combined is $1 trillion industry. And it comes on the backs of people who are dying and sick. That is big business. The last thing they want to do is get rid of $1 trillion industry for the sake of people being healthy. Okay, so this big three consists of, number one is the pharmaceutical companies. Okay, I'm gonna break down everything for you guys. The pharmaceutical company, the drug manufacturing, typically enjoys the highest net profit margins, okay, ranging from between 15% and 20%. All right, now listen to this. The shareholders of these pharmaceutical companies usually generate $1 trillion in annual payouts. And these are just the shareholders. Okay. Now, that's the pharmaceutical company. They're one of the big three in terms of the moving parts in this operation. Number two is the health insurance industry. I'm sure you guys know about how corrupt the health insurance industry is, not only in the United States, but on a global scale. Although we're one of the only countries that uses insurance companies as a for-profit mechanism. So the top 7 publicly traded health insurers in the U.S. exceeds $1 trillion in revenue. And this is annually, y'all, with aggregate operating profits easily surpassing $50 billion annually. These are the current numbers. Look it up. I don't want this to be an opinion-based video. I want you guys to look up everything that I'm saying so you will understand how naive you have to be to think that they're going to allow anybody, whether it's an individual, whether it's a peer group of scientists, whether it's a university, I don't care who it is. They're not going to let anybody come up with a program to eliminate such a machine that generates this kind of money. Okay, let me stop rambling. Number 3 out of the big 3 is the hospital and care providers. Okay, now the healthcare providers, while they account for the vast majority of healthcare spending, hospitals and providers generally operate on much thinner margins, typically between 3% and 8%. All right. However, this still represents, that 3 to 8% still represents hundreds of billions in combined revenue share. So think about that. Even though the profit margin for the hospital and healthcare providers industry is only 3 to 8%, you might say, oh, well, 3 to 8%, that's small. But that 3 to 8% profit margin still represents hundreds of billions. And remember, out of the big 3, they have the smallest profit margin. Remember, the pharmaceutical companies enjoy a 15% to 20% annual profit margin. Okay, so we're talking in the trillions combined. So, I just wanted to let you guys know that we cannot continue to be this stupid